Hey, welcome to the podcast video on real estate. And today I want to go over more housing market price cuts, increases in inventory, and also some updates on new home construction. The first thing that I want to look at when it comes to price cuts going on throughout the market, months of supply, are going to be graphs like this right here. The show is specific cities throughout the country and how their months of supply are increasing and what it's doing to the sales prices and the listing prices in those markets. So if we take a look at Jacksonville, Florida, one of my favorite real estate markets, a place that I've had a few properties in and have a property in right now. You can see right here going from January 2022 through July 2022 that inventory is increasing. They're now at 3 months worth of inventory supply in Jacksonville, Florida. And look what it's done to the prices in that market. It's decreased from an average of $379 down to about $370 in just 1 or 2 months. As you can see, there's a specific correlation. As inventory goes up, prices begin coming down because buyers have more opportunities to view different properties and negotiate on prices in those markets. And then sellers have to wait longer to sell their home, and they begin getting more impatient and they begin bringing their prices down. Let's take a look at Seattle, Washington. Seattle, Washington is a market where the inventory is going up really, really fast. And what it's done to the prices is it's begun bringing the prices down also just as fast. So over the last few months, the average pricing, according to redfin.com, has gone from $851K on the average home in Seattle, and it's come down to $787K, which is still expensive as heck. But you can see the correlation between as inventory goes up, prices begin coming down. And if you're a buyer, this is exactly what you want to see. You want to start see inventory up. You have time to make your decisions. You have time to think about what it is that you want to do in the market. And the sellers then, they start getting a little bit more antsy, a little bit more nervous, and they begin coming to the table and they're much more willing to negotiate with you. If we take a look at Boise, Idaho, this is a very interesting city and a very interesting market. And this is actually a city I'm planning to go visit really soon. This was one of those pandemic buying hotspots that everybody wanted to get to. They had huge populations of California folks spilling out into their city during the pandemic. And when you look at over the last couple months, what's going on in their inventory, it's completely skyrocketing at a really fast rate. They're up to over 3.5 months of inventory supply, and their prices are starting to really come down. Definitely an interesting city. Let's take a look at Dallas, Texas. So Dallas, Texas is a very interesting market because home builders love Dallas, Texas. They build so many new homes in that city. And it was another one of those pandemic buying hotspots that people were really trying to get to. Their inventory is also going up. And as you can see, as their inventory increases, the average price on their homes begins to come down. So Dallas is another interesting market where prices over the last few years have shot up and absolutely skyrocketed. And if you're somebody that's had a home, you love it because you've gained so much equity in your home. And if you've sold, you've made money. If you've held, you can still sell and make money. But if you're a buyer, you're probably a little bit more reluctant to buy in the Dallas market. Let's take a look at Denver, Colorado, another interesting market. This is a city that's been growing really fast. A lot of job opportunities. in Denver. And as you can see, their inventory over the last few months is also pressing up and going up, and it's starting to begin to bring those prices down to not even more manageable levels. I mean, their average home price right now, 590, 585K. It's an expensive home to buy out there, but the good news is that the trend is coming down over there. Let's take a look at Phoenix, Arizona. This city, their prices have skyrocketed. I mean, they used to be like Florida, a spot you could go to get a cheap, inexpensive house in great weather conditions. You can put a pool in your backyard and be real happy. I lived out there for about a year. I thought it was a great experience. I really enjoyed living out there. And as you can see, over the last few years, their prices have climbed from the 280s up into almost hitting $500,000. And in recent months, this city has had inventory really, really increase a whole lot. And their prices are also dipping as inventory is going up. I'd stay away from this market right now. I mean, if you're looking for an investment, I think Phoenix, Arizona, for a vacation home, for an Airbnb, for short-term or long-term rentals, I think it's a great market, but I would allow these prices to come down further before getting into Phoenix, Arizona. Let's take a look at Fort Lauderdale. Fort Lauderdale's a interesting market right now because their inventory is just slightly increasing. It's gone from about 2 months of supply to 2.5 to 3 to about almost 4 months of supply right now. And with that being said, the prices are starting to drop off a little bit. But some people think South Florida prices are going to hold steady and take some time. And a lot of that has to do with South Florida doesn't have as high amounts of investor buyers. They have a lot of domestic buyers down in South Florida, which usually helps your prices stay a little bit higher as compared to the west side of Florida, like Naples, Tampa, St. Petersburg, up north into Jacksonville, Tampa, Orlando. Those areas they've tended to have over the last few years a lot more investors that have come down to buy up properties down there, which is a big reason why people think that as investors pull back on the real estate market, North Florida and Central Florida will be a lot more exposed than South Florida. But you can see the prices have also started to dip a little bit in Fort Lauderdale as well. Jacksonville, Florida, went over that a little bit earlier. You see their inventory going up. I know a few realtors in Jacksonville, Florida. So I'm actually going to talk about some new home construction updates down in Jacksonville, Florida in a little bit. Let's look at Pittsburgh. Going up into the Northeast. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. They've had some wobbly prices since 2019. If you want a good deal, if you're trying to buy a cheap property, if you're trying to get something inexpensive, this is one of the types of cities that you want to look into. I actually flew into Pittsburgh about 2 months ago when I was going to visit a friend up in that area. And you can find some big homes in Pittsburgh for a very good price. And as you can see, their inventory is pretty much holding steady. It's only gone from 2.9 months of inventory to 3.4 months of inventory. But with that slight increase, you've seen a downward trend from about the average home of 243K down to 226K. That'll probably come a little bit lower. Again, if you're looking for a cheap, inexpensive home, this is a nice city to consider and to go to and visit and to actually think about going towards. Next up, Nashville, Tennessee. From what I hear, people that visit there, people love Nashville, Tennessee. They've got great nightlife, great shopping, bars, restaurants, and they were another one of those pandemic buying hotspots that people really tried to get to during the pandemic. And you can see their prices have steadily increased over the last few years, and over the last couple months, their inventory is starting to spike up. And there's been a little bit of decrease in home prices, and I think we're going to see those prices come down a little bit more. I found all of these graphs from Reventure Consulting on YouTube. He's got a YouTube channel, and he produces a lot of very good real estate content for people that are considering buying or selling in the real estate market. So getting out of this and switching gears to some reports from Redfin. One of the interesting things that Redfin recently reported is 70% of Boise, Idaho home sellers have dropped their asking prices in July, which means demand in this city has completely fallen off the table. When you've got any market where 70% of the home buyers are dropping prices, that means those home prices are free falling, they're decreasing fast, and as a buyer, it's a very interesting city to keep your eye on. I mean, whether you're looking at a short-term rental, a long-term rental, trying to get into the Airbnb market, looking to buy land maybe as an investment, that's a market that I'm very interested in. And over the next few months, I'm looking to get out there for a couple days just to really travel around, learn a little bit about that city, and really figure out why it was such an exploding market during the pandemic, and why it's had such growth. But I'm also curious to see what's going on when it has such a drop off in sales prices. A couple other cities that have had a lot of decreases to their asking prices are Denver. 58% of homes in Denver over the last 30 days, or my fault, not over the last 30 days, throughout the month of July, 58% of homes have dropped their prices. It's followed up by Salt Lake City at 56%, Tacoma, Washington at 54%, got Tampa Bay, Florida, 52% of their homes have seen price cuts throughout the month of July. Sacramento, so 52%, Indianapolis, 51%, Phoenix, 50%, San Diego, 49%, and then Portland, Oregon, 48%. So if you're a buyer, if you're a seller, and you're looking at some of these markets, these are really interesting trends to keep your eye on. I've been in the Airbnb business for the last couple of years. I found Airbnb to be a great tool to make money, to build business relationships, and to generate a lot of cash flow throughout the course of the month. And I'm always interested in getting Airbnbs in different cities. The two cities that I've used exclusively on has been Port St. Lucie, Florida, and Jacksonville, Florida. But as I'm looking to expand my Airbnb businesses, I'm looking at a lot of these cities like Phoenix, Boise, Salt Lake City, and really watching the trends in some of these cities, as a lot of these places have a lot of tourism. Depending on the time of year, they have a lot of different reasons for having high turnouts and vacations. Salt Lake City, obviously big skiing, snowboarding area. Phoenix, obviously snowbirds try to escape during their wintertime season to go enjoy good weather. So really following a lot of these trends in these cities can help you understand where there could be good potential investment opportunities. Getting into some new home construction. I put out a video podcast about flipping new home construction. It was something that I did in 2018, 2019, 2020. Even up until recently, I found that if you're going into a market that's in an upswing and you buy new home construction in those upswing markets, you just hold for 1 or 2 years and then sell a little bit down the road, and you can make good chunks of change doing that. I've pulled out of doing that recently because I think the market's in a correction period, and I think we're going to start for the next couple months, year, 2 years possibly, seeing a downturn. But when you look at what's going on in the new home construction industry, specifically I look at the Florida region because I have a few good realtors that are in the Florida area that provide me with a lot of up-to-date information. On 8/21, D.R. Horton, one of the nation's biggest home builders, put out a D.R. Horton deal of the day. $20K off purchase price, $10K in closing costs, $10K in prepaid costs, $1K for military, and $10K in prepaid rate buy downs. That's something over the last 1 year, year and a half, Home builders have not been doing these type of things, and a lot of the reason is inventory's going up, prices are starting to come down. Home builders are starting to feel this squeeze, so they're starting to put deals out onto the table. Leonard and D.R. Horton have also increased their commission payouts to realtors over the last couple weeks, meaning they're trying to make sure realtors know, hey, if you come to our homes, we'll give you more money so that you bring your buyers over here. Another sign that home builders are starting to feel a little bit of the squeeze and a little bit of the pressure of the different changing market conditions that are going on. I recently went down to a new builder community in Jacksonville, Florida, in which I've got 2 videos coming out over the next couple weeks about. The community is called Seven Pines. In this community, it's 1,000 acres. They're putting up like 1,600 homes. It's going to take them 10 years to build out this community. The builders are ICI and David Weekley, 2 of my favorite builders. I think they do a great job with the actual quality of their home. Not so much like D.R. Horton or Leonard, who I think sometimes take the cheap route out when they're building their home. But when you take a look at a community like that, they recently have done $60,000 price cuts on their home. Now these homes are priced in $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 ranges, but they're doing $60,000 price cuts when we were out there visiting. And as my realtor and I were talking to a lot of the side agents on these properties, we think there's more incentives to come, whether that be closing costs, price credits, builders putting in blinds, refrigerators, washer, dryers, microwave, stuff of that nature, all for free for the buyers. We think there's more to come. Leonard on 8:30 sent a message out to one of my realtors. We're offering 5% commissions on any home sold for your customers. We can have up to 10% for closing taken care of. You can utilize that for rate buy down, closing cost, or whatever actually makes sense for you and your buyer. For all other homes, we have 5% on the table to make the deal work. These are tens of thousands of dollars that the builders right now are bringing to local realtors in the North Florida markets right now. And it's something that I'm keeping a close eye on because, again, I would love to get back into the Florida market. I would really like to get an Airbnb somewhere in the St. John's Town Center, somewhere by the beaches, somewhere by the water. And as these builders start coming back to the table, as these new home builders start coming back to the table with deals, incentives, price cuts, I'm going to be really intrigued to continue watching this. And if you're somebody that's thinking about getting into the market, as the prices continue to come down, and I mean, who knows what actually goes on? It's not like I'm predicting there's going to be some gigantic market crash like 07, 08. But if prices are deemed to be unreasonable, which a lot of people think they are, these prices could continue to come down lower and lower. When you look at a lot of the news updates, you see that employment still remains strong, which is a very powerful leading indicator. Some other news updates, you look at mortgage applications, they're down again month over month, another sign that things could come down lower and lower. So as you stay in tune to news updates and look closely at what's actually going on within the market, you can kind of make your decisions on what it is that you want to do in the market. That's it. That's about everything that I got for this podcast here. If you like this, like and subscribe. Drop a comment on things that you might want me to review and go over on the next video.